Hello everyone, welcome to another interesting video. So in today's video, it's not technical related. So it's like every other video, it's technical related, like how an aircraft system work or something. Today we'll talk about something else that does not require too much of hard work, like I always give you a book. Do not grab paper and pen. So let's discuss the variant of my third favorite aircraft. Now let me tell you first what are my two favorite aircraft. First top is 747, second is Concorde, third is 767. So yeah, so we'll be talking about the 767 today. Sorry, I do not have a model of the 767. I tried to find it everywhere, but I could not get one. Instead of I showing you a model, quickly pause the video and go online and search 767. You can find it. Found it very good. So now let's talk about the variants of the 767, how the cockpit improved, how the wings improved, and what does the Sharklet do with the 767. So let's get started. So we'll talk about when the 767 was first introduced. The 747 was first introduced in 1969. Everyone knows that, and it entered commercial service in 1970 with Pan Am. But the 767 entered service in 1970 only. Actually, it is known to enter service some 3-4 years after the 747. Now, let me tell you the smallest variant of the 747. So, that is the 747-100. So, why you may ask, why am I telling you about the 747 variant? Because that needs to deal a little bit with our 767 also. Okay. Since we have talked about the smallest variant of the 747, there was no 100 variant of the 767. Actually, there was a 200, 300 variant and 400 variant. We'll talk more about that later. Okay, so now we have talked about the smallest variant of the 747 and let's talk about the smallest variant of the 767. So the 767 when it came out, I'm sorry, I don't know its launch customer. You can search for launch customer of 767. The first 767 which entered service was a 767-200, then Boeing later developed the 200ER. ER stand for extended range. So yeah, okay, so now let's talk about its cockpit and the wing design. The wings are very similar with no slanted or raked wingtips unlike the 777, and the engines were Pratt and Whitney engines and GCF6 engines. So yeah, so after those engines, let's come to the passenger cabin. So it was up to the airline, but on design which Boeing showed the airlines back in those days, it was a 3-4-3 configuration in economy and 2-2 in business class and same 2-2 in first class. So yeah, that was a 767-200 variant of the cabin. So let's come to the cockpit. Now so far we have discussed the smallest variant, the engines, the wings and the cabin. Now let's come to the cockpit. Now when I explain the 747-200, think of a very good cockpit feature back in those days, but it's not existing these days. I'll give you a clue, okay? It's not digital cockpit. Here's your clue. You can guess it. Okay, it was a steam gauge cockpit. Yeah, those early variant of the 767-200 and 200ER had a steam gauge cockpit, which means no digitalized cockpit and equipment used aircrafts, tilt and other things, and the speed obviously measured by the pitot probes came there. And unlike aircrafts today, we have a very good digital cockpit with on the right side of the pilot showing the altitude and left side is speed. No, it was not at all like that. Yeah, okay, let me tell you one thing. If I go and sit you on the 767-200 cockpit, now where would you guess the airspeed? Okay, where would you tell the airspeed would be? There would be a handle kind of a thing if you have analog clocks in your house, like mine, there would be one needle kind of a thing and an arrow. So that would tilt like this, and a small, rectangle would be at the bottom telling the airspeed, and a red color, red and white line telling the Mach speed of the aircraft. So that was a very difficult instrument, but the pilots needed very good training to actually see how that instrument worked and to see the speed of the aircraft. Okay. Okay, so we have talked about the 200 variant. So now let's talk about the 300 variant. It was actually the most popular version of the 747. Okay, sorry, 767. Actually, I've made a lot of 747 videos and coming to is 747, 747. Okay, forgot to mention another feature of the 767 200 and 200 variants. Where would you tell, where would the altimeter be? This is another question for you. Now, tell me, where would the altimeter be? It would, and you may tell, okay, I'll give you a clue. It's not a digitalized cockpit, it's a steam gauged one. Same like that. I'm sorry to tell you this, but unlike modern day aircrafts, which have sorry to tell you this, but unlike modern day airplanes, which have all in one kind of digitalized cockpit, you needed actually two instruments to see at which altitude the aircraft was. First thing, the bank angle instrument, which has no readings kind of a thing. It only relies on how much the aircraft banks, and it shows you the degree, and you needed to guess it. There was unlike these days, which tells you like these steam gauge cockpits were not very good at the time, even though they're not even used today. Unlike a modern day digitalized cockpit, we have a reading kind of a degree kind of a reading, which if the aircraft turns, the reading will be displayed. Like if it goes to 2-degree bank angle to the left, it shows 2-degree bank angle like this. But sorry to tell you this, but the pilots had to guess it in the this one variant of steam gauges. That is the first instrument, the bank angle monitor. Second one was the altimeter. That if you again coming to analog clocks. Analog clocks have two hands, minute, hour, and in some clocks it may be second hand also, but it was two hands in the steam gauge cockpit also. So one would show hundreds of feet, other would show 1,000 feet. So if you are at kind of a 20,100 feet, the longer handle would be the thousands of feet, and the shorter would be hundreds of feet. So the longer handle would show 20, and then the shorter handle would show 100. Okay, so this is how they used to guess it. And don't forget, there was another kind of a reading rectangle which can. Now coming to the 300 cockpit. Now the 300 cockpit also had a digitalized cockpit. Actually, the best-selling 767 version had the digitalized cockpit in it. So, a pilot, it was exactly similar to modern day cockpits. You could guess the bank angle by degrees. The airspeed would be on the left, altitude would be on the right, bank angle things were there, and everything. Okay, so now 300 variant. It also featured the same Pratt and Whitney in General Electric CF6 engines, but now coming to the not so very good variant of the 767, 400 and 400ER. These two variants are known for having winglets. Sorry, more about what is winglet and sharklet in another video. These two variants are obviously known for having winglets. It was up to the airline's choice, but sometimes airlines wanted their aircraft to look cool with these fancy winglets, so they added it to their fleet. Now we'll see. Okay, I told you, what does the 767 winglet have to do with the aircraft, right? Okay. The 400 and 400 this extended range. This 400 variant was the longest variant of the 767, and guess how much could it fly for? 17 hours kind of a thing. That's the same distance the 747 and H80 can fly, right? Yeah. That's why many airlines chose the 767 or the 747. But also, I want to tell you some very sad news. Boeing is it it has plans to stop production of this iconic plane 767 in 3 to 4 years. And actually, not a lot of airlines are operating this plane. So even if you get the chance to fly any one of them, be grateful for it and let me know your experience in the comment below. Now let me tell you which airlines are still flying the 767 because this is a very sad thing to tell you because a lot of the airlines are retiring the 767. And if you have a chance to visit any aircraft storage graveyard kind of a thing, you see 767s there more than any other aircraft because these planes are now replaced with fuel efficient aircraft like the 777 and the 787 H50. So I'm very sad to say this, but the 767 is no longer in passenger production, it's only in freight production. And you know that like cargo companies which are dominating in the aviation industries now, like Americans and worldwide services, are actually using the aircraft. And I want to tell you something, but a passenger 767 can be used for not 30 years but 32 years. Now I tell you what airlines you can fly the 767 on: American Airlines, Delta Airlines, and United Airlines. These three airlines are the airlines operating the 767. Also, they have the retirement dates planned for the aircraft as new fuel efficient aircraft are coming. Now uh, let's come to the variant of the 767 which actually got copied. Okay, do you know the Boeing 777? Of course, it's the most popular aircraft, you might tell. Okay, tell me about the variants of this aircraft. 200, 200LR, 200ER, 300 and 300ER, you may ask. Let me tell you how was this aircraft actually developed. Okay, now, do you know that the 767 actually is the backbone of the Boeing 777 that we enjoy today? Yes, because now be my guest and bring a 767 and 777 exactly similar to each side. Bring a 767 300 and a 777 300 and guess the differences. The only difference you'd see is the raked wingtips and the engines. That's it. So otherwise, it's very much like the 767. That's it about the 767 variants. I hope you enjoyed. But if you ever get a chance to fly on this aircraft, please let me in the comment below. Thank you.